Hi, I'm Georgia.
And I'm Rene, and welcome to Zen and Tech. Zen and Tech is our general purpose lifestyle show where we try to help you center your inner geek and make sense of all the connected technology we deal with every day. Just before we begin, I want to remind everyone that while Georgia is a therapist, she is not your therapist, and this should not be mistaken in any way, shape, or form as personalized advice for you. It's for information and educational purposes only. Georgia, how are you doing?
Thank you for the disclaimer. I'm good. How are you, Rene?
I have to make sure all our 2014 asses are covered.
There we go.
So it's a new year.
It's a new year. It's a new you, Rene.
You know what that means?
Tell me, what does it mean?
We have, I don't know what it is. Is it a societal excuse to try to make decisions that we really should have made earlier, but now are like triggered to make because the calendar has changed?
I think it's one of those group things. Since everyone's doing it, you might as well. But it is a new year, and with a new year, you might as well try to make a better you while you're at it.
So I have a couple questions concerning this. First of all, can we talk about some of our New Year's resolutions? And then
I would love to.
Well, that would be awesome. And then can we try to figure out how we'll actually stick to them this year?
We'll try to make out a good plan.
Because that's the hard part. I mean, I have made many New Year's resolutions over the years, and I have kept precisely, I think, none of them.
I've made a few. Usually I try to keep them for a period of time, and then as time goes on, they just lose thought in my mind and other things take over.
So do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Why don't you start off, and then we can keep running from there.
All right, so one of my New Year's resolutions is what I'm calling less but better. And I'll explain this. You know, throughout my life, I have bought a lot of crap. I have just seen things, thought, oh, that's cool, bought it. Even though I had no use for it, I had no, practical purpose for it, maybe it wasn't a really good thing. So what I'm trying to do this year is buy fewer things, but really think out everything that I buy and then buy something really good quality for it.
Now tell me, why have you decided to go that route? One, do you have too much clutter in your home?
Yes, well, I went back and rewatched the episodes we did on decluttering because my condo was it wasn't getting like hoarders bad, but I was getting to the state where like I had tables covered as though they were shelves, and it was like with camera lenses and piles of review material that have come in, and there was just stuff like I have all these shelves filled with things that I haven't touched in years, and it maybe starts to question whether A, they were still important to me, and B, whether I should even be keeping them.
I think that's a great idea, too, is to really think, do you need something? I think anything that you do that's an impulse buy or that something catches your glimpse or your fancy, you need to question. I always say if there's something I'm not really, really sure about, I'm going to spend some time, and if I'm thinking about it all the time, then I go back to it later instead of just doing one of those impulse buys of something that seems really pretty or sparkly.
Yeah, so I have a couple questions concerning this. Surprise, surprise. So first is I have a lot of stuff that used to be really important to me. I used to be a huge student of Chinese culture. I have tons of books on Chinese language, Chinese customs, all this kind of stuff. I spent about a decade of my life where this stuff was incredibly important to me, but I haven't so much as looked at it in the last, 5 or 7 years. So is this something, and it's taking up 2 shelves in my living room, 1 shelf in my office. Is this stuff that I keep? Is this stuff that I put in a box? Or is this stuff that I just kick to the curb?
If you haven't used it in 7 years, it's probably a good chance that you can just get rid of it. Unfortunately, some things we have a very strong emotional attachment to, though we may never use it. So I like to put certain things away, and I say, am I ever going to need this again? Or if I have information, is this information that you're not going to be able to get better on the net? Then there might be a couple of pieces. So say that I have 10 books that are from, like for me it would be through my psychology schooling. I'll choose, you know what, I'm going to get rid of 8 of them and keep 2. So I still have a little bit of that emotional attachment to a part of my life, and then the rest I'll get rid of. If it was, say, something like clothing or something that takes up a lot of space, I might say make a scrapbook of a piece of it. But for you, if it being books, I would put them into a box and say I might keep 1 or 2 if it's from someone that was really special or something that I might use as a reference. But now with the net, I don't know if there's anything that you would choose to use there that you couldn't already, look up online. Is there any?
Well, I like the idea of buying things in digital form because then I can still have it for purely nostalgia purposes, but it's no longer taking up shelf space.
I like that. I think that's a good way.
One thing that was actually a funny aside is I went through a lot of stuff in my condo over the holidays. My sister was in town, and she is incredibly operational. She'll just come in and help me organize everything. And we did the clothing, and we made piles of all my clothing, of stuff that I could keep or stuff that I would throw away, stuff that was ripped or torn, or might have been a leisure suit paisley with a hang glider collar that's just no longer fashionable. And then we accidentally threw out the keep pile and kept the throw out pile.
That's great. That's great, Rene. So you
I
just
had
made
no
this as
pants. I had no pants.
Wait, what are you wearing right now?
No, I
I
went
don't want to
shopping
know.
since then.
I don't want to know.
I had
Okay.
I had the two pairs I brought with me to CES, and then I went shopping promptly thereafter.
So this
But
happened right before CS, where you'd be on camera a lot.
yes, so thankfully I had packed. I packed at least two pairs before I left, but I had to go shopping when I came back.
That's a
So make
great
sure you
excuse.
double check your piles.
Make sure that you exactly don't put them both in garbage bags. Put one somewhere else, and the garbage bag is a toss or giveaway to those that are more needy than you.
So the other thing that I was doing is I'm slowly replacing. Like I had a couple pots break, and instead of just going out and buying the $25 pot, I actually waited and saved up and bought a really good quality, like one pot, not an entire set, just one pot. And I did this with several things. Like I replaced my television. My trick for knowing what television to get is just to wait for John Siracusa to buy one and then buy the exact same thing. It's a little pro tip for you guys. And again, it was more money than I wanted to spend, but it's something that I use all the time. Like, I spend money on very few things. I am single. I have no children. I have no debt to speak of aside from my mortgage. But I don't know if that's a realistic approach. Should I be buying cheaper stuff more often or better stuff less frequently?
I don't know. There's certain things that buying something more expensive makes good sense. I don't know if pots that would be. Now, some people would probably are screaming at their TV right now saying that it really makes a difference if you buy a more expensive pot. I don't notice the difference. Besides my non-stick frying pan, I don't find that a more expensive pot makes me cook any better or lessens the chance that I'm going to put too much salt into my cooker. So I would say pots might not be the best of choices of something that you want to spend a lot of money on. Why would you spend more money on a pot? Do you find it cooks more evenly or faster or stirs for you?
Yeah, no, it lasts longer. It doesn't warp. It doesn't bend.
But
The handle doesn't melt in the oven.
I have aluminum pots that are probably some of the oldest, most horrific aluminum pots, and they've lasted me forever. They're dented. They don't look pretty.
Okay, so your pot hatred aside, you're just saying it depends on exactly what. Because another example, my family kept asking me what I want for Christmas, and I couldn't think of anything. And eventually, I just said bedding because I realized, I sleep for like 7 hours a day, and I'd had the same bedding for years, and it wasn't particularly comfortable. So my sister, again, she found this incredible sale and got me really high quality bedding, at actually a really reasonable price. And I don't know, I feel like I'm staying at a five-star hotel now. I just want to sleep forever.
There's a few things that I find, and I think that everyone will have a difference depending on what they spend their time in. So there's a few things. I think that bedding is a great idea. I have an expensive mattress. It didn't cost me the bank, but you spend a third of your life there. So I think bedding is a great idea to have for something that's really comfortable. You'll sleep better, you'll feel more rested, and you'll be happier during that day. And there's other things that I've tried out, like balsamic vinegar. Unfortunately, once you go and taste a really expensive balsamic vinegar, you can't go back. The same thing for me. I'm a little bit of a soy sauce snob. But I don't know.
Kiko Man or GTFO.
Exactly. I go to a sushi. I will actually not go back to a sushi restaurant if they serve the cheap stuff. I'm spending a lot of money on the sushi. You don't want to add a little. I guess if you're really spending a lot of money, you should
cook
use
it in the
soy
cheapest
sauce
pan
anyway.
you got, but make sure it's got good soy sauce on it.
Right, or knives. Knives are something really nice. Once you've cut with knives, you go back to some sort of blunt knife that massacres your tomato, and you're thinking, that really is money well spent.
Blunt knife.
But I think it also depends on what your budget is. I don't think that any of these things are things that will make or break you, but it is good to research and see what you can do and what really matters and which really doesn't.
All right, so one of yours, Georgia. That was one of mine.
Okay, so my idea is that I am going to take every opportunity that comes my way. I'm not going to do the usual, I'm going to wait, or I'm scared and nervous and I'm going to say no. That's my New Year's resolution, because my old way would be I would either get overly perfectionistic about something and it has to be perfect before I'm going to do it, which is a death trap because it's never able to be perfect, and then you're never going to do it. And the other thing is that I was too scared of failure, or it's not going to be as good as someone else could do it, And in the end, that really doesn't matter. It's better to get at something and get better with time. If I was going to wait till I did a podcast till I spoke really well and I was perfect, I still wouldn't be here right now doing it. So that's one of my New Year's resolutions, which I'm really excited about because it kind of stares fear in the face for me, and I enjoy doing that.
Hey, when I started podcasting, my best friends told me I sounded so horrible I should never ever do it again. Now look at me.
Now look at you. They were.
Uh, so what does that
get
mean
that in
exactly?
the comments.
So what is that? Because obviously you can't do everything, and there's going to be some offers for things that you frankly would not want to do. So how do you tell when it's something that's not in your best interest to do, or something that you're just avoiding doing that would be good for you?
For me, it's the feeling that I get whenever I feel excited, but it's fear that's going to stop me from taking that promotion or doing that talk or going slightly outside of my comfort zone. So it's that avoidance because I'm scared. You don't get that feeling of anxiety at all if you just don't want to do it. You feel nothing towards that. So you know it because your body tells you, wow, that's really scary. So, we did bull riding at CES. We did a lot of different talks.
Yes, we did bull. We were on the bull for about, 30 or 40 seconds. Anthony lasted about a minute 20. You killed everyone at a minute 40.
But it was scary. It's something that's very overt. You're, if you survive or fail, it's in front of a lot of different people and on camera.
You were accused of cheating.
But it was a lot of fun, so I'm happy that I did those type of things. So that's the type of thing that is one of my New Year's resolutions.
So, but how do you balance the time thing? Because you might get 4 or 5 good offers. How do you know which ones, again, that you can actually manage to do?
Well, I'm cutting back a little bit on the time that I do my therapy so that I have some free days, which will allow me to make those choices a little bit more easily. I'm lucky I work for myself, so I can choose the type of schedule that I have. But it's really exciting to be able to do that. And sometimes there's just a choice that you can't make, but you'd like to, so maybe you'll say, I'll do it at a later date or a later point in time.
Is it better to schedule that kind of stuff? Like if you're like, I have these 3 incredible things I'd like to do, I can't do all of them, so I'm going to do this one this month, and then I'll do the other one next month. Is it instead of just saying some point in the future, is it worth being more specific about it?
I think that's a great point. I think many people say, I'd really like to do something, just not now. And they say they're going to start at a later point in time that is non-defined. Again, people are waiting till it feels right, till all of their ducks go into a line. It's better just to start off as soon as possible. And I like the idea of scheduling things. It's another reason why you will lower anxiety is if you place a time and then you stick to it, so you don't end up watching 3 episodes of Sherlock back to back. You say, you know what, I'll watch 1. Then I'll do whatever I want to do or make a step towards it. You may not be able to complete it and then go back to it. But I think that scheduling is good. That works a lot for me because I used to overschedule myself. I wouldn't do things, then I'd feel tired and over anxious about it, and it just wouldn't get done.
So how do you, and you already answered a little bit, but I just want to make certain I understand you. How do you know that, for example, the romantic idea of what you could do and the harsh reality of it? Like romantically, I'd like to jump out of a plane and try parachuting. Realistically, I don't want to die. So how do you know what things you should actually push yourself for and how far you should push yourself and what are actually, nature telling you don't be stupid?
I think that you need to know who you are as a person. If you can be honest about what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and what will be the benefit in getting this, and then outweigh that with the cost to it. For jumping out of an airplane, what does that really give you? Do you need to do this? Or is it something that will not really make any difference in your life to you or to your self-esteem if you don't? Then you should plan out why would that be important, and then strategize how do you get to it, because we've made all of these great ideas of what our resolutions are going to be, but then how exactly are you going to make sure that you uphold to that, especially if it's a difficult resolution. Another resolution that I made for myself was I wanted to lose weight, not because I actually thought that I needed to lose weight, but because of a mental exercise with me in that they say that every decade you're going to gain 10 pounds and you're going to keep it. And I said, you know what, I don't want to be part of the statistics. I'm oppositional to that.
If you live to 200, you're going to be ginormous.
So I said, you know what, I'm going to try to see if I can change the basic metabolism of what I'm dealing with, which is great, but then do you know yourself well enough to strategize how you can make yourself most successful at what you are planning to do?
So what are you doing for that? How are you going about that?
Well, for that, I decided that I was going to listen to my body and eat less. That's the easiest way to lose weight, is not to exercise. Exercise is great and it increases your metabolism, but eating less is the fastest way. Whatever you put in, whatever's excess in that, turns into extra calories and we store that. So I've just decided to eat less things that would be easy for me to eat less of, so sweets and chocolates, which is an easy one for me to give up. And then those empty calories from things like soda, hot chocolate, and then enjoying other drinks that are non-caloric. So like I have some green tea here just in case I start to cough, and other things that you can enjoy as well, and it does make a difference. So I'll say, you know what, I'll have that piece of cake because I really want it, but I'll drink it with water instead of having it with, a latte or something else with it.
So are you doing what our good friend and Windows Phone Central editor Daniel Rubino is doing, which I call periodic starvation and he calls intermittent fasting?
No, I'm not doing that. I enjoy eating too much to do that, and eating is part of my daily life, so it just wouldn't work for me. I have to know that that's not the way that I would be able to ever handle it. I'd be angry and aggressive.
Well, he is angry and aggressive because he wakes up, what does he have for breakfast? According to Kevin, nothing. And then for lunch, whoa, nothing, so easy. And then for dinner, oh, anything.
Well, that goes back to the knowing yourself. If that works for you, I think that that's fabulous, and if you enjoy doing that and that gives you a little bit of a kick, sweet, that wouldn't work for me. It would be a bad thing.
So are you just, for example, you'll order lunch and only eat half of it?
I'll eat until I feel full. I'll say to myself, is that enough? And so I have to eat slower in order to do that. If you're wolfing down your food, it's probably one of the fastest way to gain weight, because by the time, it takes about 20 minutes till your stomach, your blood sugar, there's 3 ways that your body knows that you're full. So one is just from that feeling in your mouth and the swallowing motion. The second is from your stomach and its volume. And then the third is through your blood sugar ratio. And that takes about 20 minutes. So I wait and I say, you know what, I think that's enough. I'll wait 20 minutes.
You eat like half and then wait 20, like you eat a little bit and then wait?
Yes, I try to eat really slowly.
Okay.
So I'm having a couple of bites, then I'll think about it and I'll say, you know what, I think that this is enough. And then I'll wait and I'll say if I need more, if I'm hungry in 10 minutes, I'll eat a little bit more. So I eat really slowly during my meals. It works out really nicely, and I also order half of what I think that I want to eat.
So because I'm like a blogger, I'm used to shoving down food while I'm typing because the story has to go up, and then maybe forgetting to eat for 8 hours, and then driving out to try to find any place that's still open, maybe a gas station that has, I don't know, Cheetos or something.
Well, the problem with eating unconsciously is that you're never really being aware, and you want to be there with your food while you're eating it. So one is I'll say, how do I feel after I eat in this type of meal? And I try to project ahead, which might seem like very difficult to do, but I think, how will I feel after I've eaten this huge piece of latte or huge tiramisu? Am I going to feel great or am I going to feel horrible? And I say, you know what, if I'm going to feel horrible, I'm just going to have a few bites, sweeten up, and then I'll wait for that. But if you're going to eat quickly, eating should be something that you do and you only do that. So you should wait till after you've written. If you have, 10, 15 minutes during the day that you are not blogging, that's when you should be eating. And you should plan it out through the day, because 8 hours of not eating is a really long time, and your blood sugar levels are going to drop. Your body's going to think it's starving, and then it goes into storage mode. So everything that you do eat after that, it's going to transform into fat as quickly as possible.
And I should point out, because some people will say, oh no, Georgia's wasting food, that we did a whole episode about not treating your body like a garbage can. So make sure you go back, and I'll put a link in the show notes, but go back and listen to that, lest you naysay her in advance.
Yes, which I don't mind that argument. I fully understand it, but it's much better not being used in your body where you're not going to need it. Whether you eat it or not, it doesn't help you gaining
weight. Put it in the fridge.
Weight.
Store it.
Yeah, or I'll say it, just throw it out. It's better than you having excess weight, which is going to lead to other disabilities later in life.
So that you did 2 in a row, which is okay. I'm going to do another one.
Sorry.
So my next one is trying to have a little bit of a better work-life balance. Don't tell Kevin Mitchell. But my pattern for the last few months, maybe the last year, has been to wake up, reach for my iPhone, check Twitter immediately, just in case anything has happened or there's anything urgent, because that seems to be the fastest way I get news these days. Then look at iMore, then check my email, and by the time I do that, usually like half an hour has passed, and then I get up and I walk out and I start using the computer and I just don't stop. And also, I was taking my computer with me everywhere. If I went
Mm.
out to lunch, I would make sure I had my computer in my bag just in case something happened. So what I'm trying to do now is, first of all, if I'm going out like to Starbucks to work for a few hours, of course I have my computer with me. But if I'm going out to lunch or to visit friends or to do something that is not work related, I leave my computer at home. And also, I'm making sure that I don't go to my computer immediately in the morning, because I've realized that if I go to my computer immediately, it will own my soul until I'm exhausted at night. So I try now I still check to make sure everything is working first thing in the morning. I pick up my iPhone, make sure there's no, servers down, alerts, anything that is critically urgent, and then I get up and I was injured last year. I busted my ankle and I busted my neck, so I haven't been doing the jiu-jitsu that I love to do for so many years. So I've started doing just regular kind of body weight exercises. So I'm trying to make sure that I do my physiotherapy right away, then my exercises right away, and then actually have something small to eat, and then go to my computer.
I love that. How many hours do you think that you were working before through the day?
97, it feels like.
So I think that's important. I think that we often, that saying for do you work to live or live to work is really important. I have a lot of people that come in to see me and their stress levels are huge. They're through the roof. And, in the end, it's about money or, about, trying to get the job done or do it to a certain level. And I say, what do you rather, your health or your job? You have to choose sometimes, and you might need to pull one back to keep yourself healthy, because if you get sick and have to go to the hospital, well, then you're not doing your job at all. It's one of those things that eventually it will take everything from you, and then you look back on your life and you say, what did I do with it? Now, if you need to work to eat and you need to work 2 jobs for that, I fully understand, and you have to. But many people are not doing it because they have to. They're doing it because they like it or because they want it, and it being stuff. They want a certain quality of life. And I think that that's a little bit of a lie that we tell ourselves, that I have to be able to afford this and that. When it comes to your health, everything should be able to be put on the table, because you can't get it back. You can't go back and say, well, now I'm going to take better care of myself 10 years ago. And sometimes it's too late once you get really ill or sick. So I think that that's a great idea. Like, in the end, you want to look back on your life when you're 80. What are you going to tell yourself? That I should have worked more, or should I spend the time with those that I love and doing things that I enjoy at the same time?
Yeah, it's interesting because I really love what I'm doing. Like when I used to work, and I said this before, I used to work in enterprise, in product marketing, and in my free time I would just do this, and then I went doing this full time, and I enjoy the hell out of it. So I tend to do it. I hate being bored. I tend to do it, and I have to force myself to stop. So it's not that I'm slaving away at it or overly stressed. It's what I love to do, but I recognize that it is all I'm ever going to do if I don't stop and make a conscious choice to take care of myself as much as I'm taking care of the work that I'm doing.
Right. And if you waited till the work became less, or there was less important things, well, that's never going to happen. There's always going to be something important that's going to pull you back to the computer, and it's a comfortable, safe, easy place, and you're really fabulously good at it. So it makes sense why you would do that. So I love the fact that you're going to keep yourself a little bit more balanced. How are you going to keep on track with that?
I have no idea. Well, that's what I actually wanted to talk about. I wanted to see if we could assign, because at ZEN and Tech, if we could use some tech to help us with this. The first one that I mentioned, the less is more, I started using sites like the Wirecutter and Sweet Home and the aforementioned John Siracusa to help me figure out what the best products were. And they're not always the most expensive products. The best products are just the ones that are the best value for what you're getting. It's the difference between cost and value. And I found that immensely helpful, because there's so many varieties of so many things that it's really hard to make a choice, and you don't always know what you're getting. And I found those as utilities incredibly beneficial. I'm guessing for actually, I don't know. What are you doing to what was your first resolution? The one of taking on more challenges or doing more things?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you're using to help you with that?
I do. Well, I use my phone a lot for that. I just set up reminders for times so that I have an alarm that's going to go off, and it's going to let me know when I should start something, because often I'll get so involved in one thing that I forget. And I need this reminder to keep me on track so that I don't overbook myself or overschedule. I also use Google Calendars so that everyone in the family knows what is planned, and so no one double books anything else. What is a really good to do, Renee, that has a alarm with it that you use that maybe would be better than me just setting up reminders on my phone?
I use So I have a really cockamamie solution to this. We use Google Calendars and Google Docs and stuff to run Mobile Nations. So I have all the podcasts. We have an entirely separate calendar for podcasts, and anything that's work-related goes in the Google Calendar. I use iCloud for my personal stuff, and I do the same thing. I use Fantastical on the iPhone and Mac because it's just the absolute fastest way to get stuff into and out of a calendar. And the new version 2.0 uses reminders too, so I don't even look at the reminders app or the calendar app anymore. I just go straight to Fantastical. I use Vesper, which, full disclosure, a friend of mine, Dave Wiskus, works on. But it doesn't sync, which drives some people crazy. But I actually have different lists, like on some of the stuff that I travel with has different lists than the one that I use every day because I tend to do different things when I'm traveling. So I just have a list in there, and I don't keep them. I just put stuff on there and delete it right away when I don't need it anymore. So it's like a live list of things I want to do or ideas I have, and that goes back to that mental decluttering thing where once I put it down onto the phone, I don't have to worry about carrying it with me anymore.
And will it be set to an alarm so that I can hear something to remind it? Because I'm not going to be opening it.
No, so
I keep my phone upside down. I don't hear anything.
Fantastical is for is what I use for that kind of stuff. Vesper and any note app actually is just when I need something to do, I go to that and I do the next thing on the list. So that's more of an I have a need and I go to it. It's not something I have to remember to do. It's something that I need to do something at that time. It's like a packing list or a shopping list. I'm going shopping, so I know what's next on the list. What about the weight loss stuff, George? Are you using your Wii thing? Are you using anything new?
I am. I'm using my Wii scale. I love the Wii thing scale because it's nice, it's simple, it's easy, it's really, really beautiful, and it can track everything for you, which is nice, so you can watch your progress as you go down. I also like the fact that it's digital, so it tells you to the tenth of a pound, so you know if you lost just a touch, which is encouraging for you. And it takes time. You're laughing. It's a big deal. A tenth of a pound.
I was just thinking in horror that if a tenth of a pound went up, you'd be like, no.
Well, you have to be. I think that's another thing. You have to be good with yourself.
Stupid
not
jelly
everything.
Donut.
Not everything. The jelly donut was calling to me. I couldn't help it. Not everything is always going to be an improvement. You have to know that growth happens not like a straight line up, but like learning is like, up, down, around. But the law of averages is you just want to be heading up. But if you fall down the mountain a little bit, don't just give up on your goals. Say, I'm going to get back on the horse and do it again. So I use that, and then I try to be really conscious. I was thinking about buying something that would also help me, have a little bit of a health. I don't eat a lot of vegetables, fruits and vegetables, so I also have my juicer that I use in the morning.
A masticating juicer.
A masticating juicer. I think it's the Omega 300 masticating juicer. It's really amazing. So I have a vegetable juice for breakfast, and it makes sure that I have all my...
What do you do?
I put in kale and apples and anything else that's there, carrots, some veggies, and it's easy to clean. Have that for brekkie, and then lunch will be my next meal.
I don't have a masticating juicer, but I do have a blender, and what I usually do is I buy these bags of frozen mangoes and berries and stuff like that, and I'll put a quarter to a third of a bag along with some juice, because I've tried water and it's just not sweet enough for me, along with some protein powder, and then I blend that up, and I usually have that first thing in the morning.
I think that for health, that sounds great. For weight loss, it might not be as good as you would like, because would you do that and add a cup of, instead of juice, would you add a cup of Pepsi or 7-Up to it?
Well, I do tend to take the big, chunky, healthy, full of crap juices, not the like...
Totally okay, but the sugar content in the juice is the same as in a cup of... per cup, they're equal, the amount of sugar in each.
Is the masticating juicer different? So like if you put like an apple in, is that any different?
It's different in that most of what I take is vegetables. The apple I only do to add to the sweetness, so it's almost all veggies, and then there's just enough apples so that you can palate it.
So I should switch to vegetable juice instead of fruit juice in the morning.
Vegetable juice is pretty good. A V8 has a lot less calories, and it'll work. It's just a different flavor, though.
Screw that. I'm going to blend my own.
You could blend your own. I think that that's great. There's a lot of great recipes online. You can try a whole bunch of different ones. I once tried one and I added way too much ginger. It was horrifically unpalatable, but I like it. I think the flavor is pretty good.
Does ginger kill something like garlic kills a vampire? Does ginger take out a white or a lich or something?
It does. It takes out liches, and it also stops dizziness. So if you get dizzy while you're driving, taking fresh ginger, not ginger that's been pickled or ginger powdered, fresh root ginger, 2 small thin slices of that will get rid of any type of vertigo that you might get and driving sickness. So it
Nice.
works really well.
So the lack of sugar from the vegetable juice will put me into dizziness, but the ginger will fix it.
That it will.
All right, George. So we're almost out of time. Any other New Year's resolution things you want to address? Any other tips or tricks that you might have for us?
Yeah, sure. I'll go through the top 8 tricks that we can go through. We've kind of gone through them through the show, but I'll put them in a nice, easy list
Bullet
so that
points.
everyone, exactly, bullet points. Just remember this. Just fast forward to the end and remember this part. So 1, make sure that you really, really want to do what you want to do. Like pick something, not just pandemic. If you say it's smoking, really you have to know that you want to quit smoking. Be serious about it. The next one is to know yourself. Like I might want to work out, but on my own I will not work out. In a group or if there's a class, I'll work out. So know why you haven't already done this. If there's a reason why you have chosen not to do this already, then strategize how you can reward yourself for doing what you want to do. So you need a reward, Renee, for not being at your computer all day.
I didn't eat that ice cream. I'm going to have a milkshake as a reward.
There we go. Do not wait till you are going to be perfect at whatever you are choosing to do. Perfection, impossible. And if you are hoping that it'll feel right doing something new, it never does. It always feels many levels of wrong. That's a good thing.
It won't feel right, so just make sure it feels right now.
Exactly. Be proud that you're doing it. And then break it down into tiny little parts. You can't say that I'm going to work out for 3 hours every day. It's too much. I would say 15 minutes and be proud. Track your success. I think that there's probably some great apps that we can track what we are doing and progress, Renee.
Yep, depends what you're doing. Like if it's exercise, there's like Runkeeper. I mean, there's all sorts of different apps for what you want to do.
Right, or you can even get one of those Fitbits or Jawbones. You can have something onto your wrist to keep track and keep you moving. Make it fun. Gamify your own success. And then if you make a mistake, don't give up. And the last one is start now. If you are making a whole bunch of reasons why you can't do something now, no, they are excuses and you're lying to yourself. If you're waiting for those new pair of shoes before you go jogging, you could just go jogging in your room. Most people, when I say I want you to exercise for 15 minutes 3 times a day, they say, well, I can't get the membership and it's really expensive. And I say, I don't care if you are jumping up and down at work during lunchtime in the bathroom. 15 minutes. You know, hopping, it's free. You can do it almost anywhere.
I wish we had show titles because hopping it's free would be great.
That's it. Those are my tips to keep you going towards whatever is your New Year's resolution.
All right. So, Georgia, thank you so much. If people are interested in finding you on the various social networks, where can they go?
You can find me on Twitter. My name is @Georgia_Prime.
Nice. And you've got Instagram now as well.
I do. I keep on forgetting. So, yes, I have Instagram. I'll try to get good at it.
It's the same name. And if you're interested in seeing Georgia, I don't know, riding a bull, getting tasered, and, hosting CES Live, you can just go to imore.com/CES Live. All of our videos are there. You can find me on all of the social things @Rene Ritchie. And one of our New Year's resolutions is to get Zen and Tech back on a proper schedule. Right, Georgia?
That is it. I'm trying to be diligent with keeping track and doing whatever I say I'm going to do. So there we go.
So our recording schedule may vary depending on when Georgia's available, but we will have new episodes coming out regularly regardless. Awesome. Thank you so much, Georgia.
Thank you.